Welcome back. We're learning from Humash Rashi in Parashat Haye. Yesterday we did the first two Pesukim, and we're going to continue. Vayakum Avraham al Pnei Meto Bedaber El Bnei Het Lemor. So what happened? Yesterday we started with Sarah Imenu passing away. She lived 127 years. He goes to Kirat Arba. Why is it called Kirat Arba? For the four giants, or some say for the four couples that are going to be built there. What I saw Rav Musafi say yesterday, he goes that the name of the father of the giants was Anak. Because if you look here, it says Al Shem Arba Anakim Shayusham Achiman Sheshay Talmai. But there's only three. What's the name of the fourth? His name was Anak.
The father.
His father's name was Anak.
That also could mean that he wasn't Anak. That was just his name.
No, I would assume. I mean, unless the wife cheated on him. If the guy was 5'4" and he produced 35-foot giants, I would have questioned his wife before I.
No, he's saying it's like a girl that you call her Yafa and she's Naifa.
Yeah. Okay. No. But here, I mean, they're calling it Kirat Arba. That it was for the giants. They said on Achiman Sheshay Talmai, like when they would stand up, they would block the sun. They were so big. Like, we don't even understand what this is. But I was reading an article recently that the Smithsonian Museum is being charged or like being investigated because they've been gathering a lot of fossils that they found in the United States over the course of like the last 200 years, but they've been destroying them. What did they find? So what's coming out now is that they found many giants buried here in the United States. One particular group, which I found extremely interesting, was a group of giants that they found here. They were, I think, about 20 feet tall. That's what I remember reading. And they were all red hair. They were able to see that that whole group of these giants red-haired. And they had 2 rows of teeth. We have 32 teeth. They have 64.
You mean one behind the other?
One behind the other. And what happened was, now, why would the Smithsonian Museum want to destroy it? According to the article that I read, it's that these type of discoveries prove that the Torah and the Bible is true. A lot of times when...
Because of Anakim?
Yeah, because, we believe the world is only 5,784 years. And I don't say we believe. We know that from the time of Adam Harishon on Yom Shishi until now, it's 5,784 years. That's our years.
But
now,
it can be before Adam Harishon. It was.
Oh, so we know there's 974 generations before.
Maybe that's what they're referring to, no?
I think that it's more likely that these were those that lived before the time of Noah, or after Noah, and they slowly died off or were killed off. It's hard for me to say. Not me in particular. Like, why wouldn't I say that they're before Adam? Because why push it off to before Adam Harishon? Say that it was between Adam and Noah, and that these were part of the groups of people that God didn't want in the new world with Noah. Maybe they changed. We know that people made changes with their physical bodies with cloning, because it says that on Shem Eved, the king, remember the 4 and 5 kings Shem Eved, Rashi told us, why was he called Shem Eved? You know he's called Shem Eved? Because he added an Eved. An Eved is a limb to his body. He figured out how to add a limb and he started flying with it. He knew how to add wings to himself. What does that mean? I don't understand. But it does mean that they knew how to do something that we obviously don't. Even without the medical advancements that people think that we have today.
So when you go to the Museum of Israel,
yeah,
right, and you see stuff on Canaan, right, and it says 6,750 years, and there's a clay pot right there. Or have you ever been there?
Yeah, sure. So that's
you've seen that.
So they use that with those numbers, from my understanding, using carbon dating.
Right.
Okay. I'm not going to go into carbon dating because I haven't researched it enough to talk about it. But I am aware that Rav Amnon Yitzchak had a whole shiur breaking down another way to look at carbon dating, and he did it in a way that proved that actually it's not 6,000 years. He shows that it actually be less time. What's also important to know is that during the Mabul, the flood, we knew that there was cold water, hot water, volcanoes. All this type of stuff can fossilize things in a way that show that they're aged much quicker than they really are. So I think it's difficult. I think it's difficult to say that all these situations were from before Adam HaRishon. I think it's more likely there. And it's interesting about this is that we know that people used to live long lives and there were giants, and then over the course of time, God slowly brought them down to approximately 120 years, like it's said in the Torah. People could live more than that, but it doesn't mention 120 years. But meaning to say that's the average maximum long lifespan a person is going to have. We're not going to have people living 300 years anymore.
There's a book called Lifespan. Have you heard of it?
No, tell me about it.
It's a guy who says, not too distant future, very close, he says people are going to be living much longer. Yes,
we know that when the Mashiach comes, there's going to be a lot of changes. There's going to be no more sicknesses in the world, and death is going to dissipate. I truly believe, while I don't have access to this type of information, I truly believe that we already have all the knowledge and technology to already do this. I just think that it's just not on the mass market. Only because like I've seen a couple of things at some of these tech shows and things like you see these like protocols on some things, or you read some of these. It's unbelievable what they have.
I think I have the book. I could.
Yeah, bring it over. By the way, I love that pirate book. That the Jewish pirates. That was great. I skimmed through most of the book. It was very interesting. What was great about the book? John gave me a book about the Jewish pirates of the Caribbean. He said that after the Armada, the Spanish Armada was the most powerful in the entire world. It's a great book, John. Really, thank you. And I love Jewish history and world history. He said, but the Spanish Armada was so big. What happened when they threw all the Jews out of Spain? The Jews were a lot of the financiers. They were the builders of ships. They were builders of businesses. Now suddenly you threw 500,000 Jews out of the country. I don't know the exact number of Spain. So they took upon themselves all these Jews that they were going to also buy ships, and they made sure that any Spanish ship were taking it down. Doesn't matter. Jewish pirates. And no, but they did it. They said, listen, they threw all of us out of the nation. They killed. They made them suffer through torture. And if you don't know what torture is, there's a place called the Museum of Torture that shows you some of the things they did the Spanish Inquisition. I recommend everyone going to see without your kids.
Where is this?
This wasn't up north, the museum, but I think they have one here down here. Someone told me they have one in Florida. But the Museum of Torture shows you tools they used to do to torture people to get information from them. It's so important you go see this, because then you fully understand what the Spanish Inquisition was like. It was a Holocaust. No, but I hate to say this, but it's a hesed when people get shot in the head and just die on the moment, as opposed to what the torture of years, or what they used to sometimes drain a person, his blood, and it would take him weeks till he died, and he would suffer. They would do things in a way that was so cruel, and so the Spanish were the epitome of this. So the Jews, and John, when he gave me that book, I read it. I was so interested on it. He said they took it upon themselves, and you know what? Within a short time, the whole Spanish Armada got destroyed, and the Spanish went from a world superpower to becoming known for olives with little picantas or whatever in there. By the way, that's the only thing you know about Spain. And what else do you? That's it. What else do you know about from Spain?
Well, that the book insinuates that the Jews destroyed the
they did.
Spanish Empire.
The Armada. The empire was through their military. Because once you took out the military, what do you have? You had I thought you had Spanish olives. What do you have left?
And it's funny because Dafka, I'm a big fan of history too. The Spanish military was based on their navy. That was their pride and joy. Their navy was everything, because they would sail from there to Portugal.
They took over the world.
Exactly. Yeah.
Took over the world. That's how they were able to take over the world. Yeah. By the way, till today,
hit it where it hurts most.
Don't kid yourself. The waterways is the most important way that we travel, not by plane. Don't kid yourself. It's by water. If you control the waters, it's a key item. So let's continue. All right. So this is about the It's very scary. It's very scary what's happening now in the Middle East, because I read there's like 3 aircraft carriers going there. It's almost like a preparation for war. And from what we're seeing in the Hachamim, hopefully tomorrow I'll have the Hazon Avadia on Shabbat. The last Haye the Chacham Avadia reveals also about the war happening on Simchat Torah. I hope to have it tomorrow to share it with you guys. Yeah, so it's very interesting. I truly believe right now we are in the cusp of the Gog and Magog. Rabbi Gladstein, I flew him in. He's coming today at 3 o'clock. He will be here tomorrow. We will be learning together, God willing.
Who is this?
Tonight we'll have him for Mincha. Yeah, he's a big Talmid Hacham. He's from Cedarhurst. He's the largest Torah teacher on Torah anytime. He's a tremendous Talmid Chacham. I call him the sorcerer of Kollel Israel. Not sorcerer, but whenever I have anything that I'm not sure of where it came from, I call him, I send him a message right away on the spot. He knows how to source out. He's fantastic with that. Yeah. You can ask questions.
No, put on pause for a second.
Yeah, I don't know if you can pause it. I can shut it, but it's okay. Ask the question. I can always delete it later.
No, it's not a question.
Yeah.
I'm just have like my conspiracy theory.
It's okay. You can say it on the camera. No problem. We don't discriminate here. John, I want to tell
It's
you.
no, what is it?
No.
Not filtered.
By the way, when we started this, we told you it's an unfiltered Torah. By the way, you want filtered Torah? You can go down the block. They'll tell you everything you want to hear.
My theory is that our lovely government, they want this war, and they set up Israel to take a hit.
I don't know about. I can't go that.
And then now, I mean, within how long, when the thing started, did they send that ship? So one day, the same day, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
And then they send another one. Now they send. People make a mistake. They say a nuclear submarine. It's a nuclear powered submarine. There's no nuclear warheads on that submarine.
Yeah, because they don't take fuel. Yeah.
Which is not a good thing to have thrown at you.
Listen, I don't know about that. I do know America has been Malchut Shel Hesed. It's a government that has really. Listen, I can say this outwardly. It's what God bless America. What America has given and helped the Jewish people is unforeseen. Probably since we have had Israel in our own independence. We literally are able to learn Torah, teach Torah, open shuls, batei kenesiot, yeshivot. It's.
I have another book for you to read.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll bring it, John.
In the way, he's saying like highest level of government. You could have the Supreme Court. You could have, like that.
Listen, John, in Germany.
This is all in spite of.
Yeah.
It's in spite of.
Okay, so you got to bring me that other book, and then we'll look into it.
Years ago.
Okay, listen, John.
The Secret War Against the Jews. You got to read it. It's
Okay.
Unbelievable book.
I'll give you one thing that I remember Rabbi Mansour said. It was great. It was the letter from one of the premiers in Austria, I think Franz Joseph, and he wrote to his cousin, the Tsar of Russia. And the Tsar of Russia was cruel. He was a bitter Tsar. He didn't let people wear tefillin, no brit milah, can't open shuls, no yeshivot, and he cracked down on it. But he saw his cousin, Franz Joseph, he said in Austria, he goes, you let them do whatever they want. You give them all the freedoms you want, you let them be part of your society.
And we're very successful.
And he goes, your country's growing and prospering while this country is going to the dumps. Russia was not doing well at the time. So, but he was referring more not to the success of both countries when he wrote them. He was something, I don't get why you treat the Jews in such a nice way while I treat them the way that we both agreed to. And he responds back, Franz Joseph, he says, listen, you kill your Jews your way, I'll kill them my way. You kill them by being brutal to them, I'll do it by letting them become free, because I know if they're free, within 1 or 2 generations, there won't be any more Jews. He goes, you keep doing what you're doing, they're going to become stronger and stronger. He was right.
He was more right than the other way.
He was more right. Franz Joseph was right. Listen, Austria, Germany, these, from what we know from the Chachamim, this is Amalek. Amalek is not a nation that is a small, foolish nation. These are people that were advanced in knowledge, in technology, military, in medicine, also like Sodom and Amorah. All these countries and that we see in the Torah that God ended up destroying, or even now in modern history, they were all at their epitome. Look at the Spain. We just spoke about Spain. Spain took over the world, but he became so arrogant that he started to go down and punish the Jews, even though the Jews, by the way, Don Yitzhak Abarbanel was his financier. He told them, by the way, everyone could leave, you stay with me.
Yeah.
And he responded back, he said, Betoch ami anochi yoshev. Not anochi yoshavet, but he said anochi yoshev. He goes, I sit with my nation, and he ended up leaving with them. And by the way, I read a little bit about his life. It wasn't so simple. He ended up becoming the advisor in Portugal, then he went, I think, to Naples or to Venice. He ended up going around, but he had a hard life going from place to place.
I read that the stuff he wrote, right? I don't know. I read it.
Yeah, the Perush on Dona Barbanel. Yeah. It's so beautiful. Very hard to read.
No, but they say that he wrote it He didn't have.
You remember, he's on the run.
He
He was on the run.
That's what it was. He did it on the run. All his, I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, it's, by the way, and it's a long perush. I told you I wanted to do the perush with you guys on Yehezkel that he has on the Navi. He gives you everything that's going to happen. He gives everything that's going to happen during the time of the Mashiach, Gog and Magog. He tells you which nations are coming in. He tells you where they're going to come from. It's so detailed. It's unbelievable how he talks about it.
I was watching this movie, a quick story with my mother-in-law. It's about French society, right? And it's like a comedy. So
What do you mean? Your mother-in-law is what's French society? What do you mean?
I was watching a movie with my mother.
Oh, okay.
In French.
Oh, in French. Okay.
It's about French society. Right?
Okay.
And whatever they try is not working for them. Socialism, Marvel, all the isms, it's not going. They'll always have money problems. They don't know what to do. So they're all sitting, all the ministers together, and one guy gets up and goes, throughout all this history of ours, everything we try, nothing works, but there's one people, no matter what, they always have money. It goes the Jews, right? So he says, let's convert everybody to Judaism. Right?
That's a great one. John, it was worth it for you coming today just for that.
So listen, so they said, let's take a vote. So they take a vote, right? And 70% of the people say yes, right? So we'll do a year transition from to Judaism.
I wonder how the circumcision went over there.
Then you see all the French people going like this and like that, and they're behaving like Jews, and then they convert, right?
And suddenly France becomes a superpower.
No, listen to this. So the end of the movie, what is it? It's a panoramic shot of Paris.
Yeah.
And then the sirens go off.
Oh, because the Arabs are attacking. Lo aleno. Wow, John, it was worth it to hear that just today.
There was a movie like that.
That's funny. I don't watch movies. I don't have time for this. Yeah.
But jokes like I might open up a can of worms. Feel free to say we can talk about it later. But if we're all of the opinion, or the vast majority of Jewish minds today are of the opinion that this is it, shouldn't we get out of here?
Okay, so I actually got a message from a good friend of mine in Israel. He messaged me last night. I don't know why he messaged me like at 2 o'clock in the morning. He's someone that I know since I'm 12 years old, 11 years old. He's like, please come buy an apartment now. He goes, don't wait till it's too late. And I don't know why he sent this to me. I don't talk to him often. Once every year, twice a year, 3 times a year, before the holidays. He messaged me from Yerushalayim. He's like, Jonathan, please come to Israel now and buy it. He goes, you've been telling me for years you want to buy something in Israel. He goes, don't wait. He goes, because if 500,000 people come to Israel, or 1 million. He goes, that's not everybody, by the way. We have more than 1 million Jews outside of Israel that need to come in. He goes, if 1 million people come in, he goes, what do you think is going to happen? He goes, there's going to be no space. He goes, come now, buy a place, buy a house, start working from it from now. I asked Rabbi David Abu Hatzira about making Aliyah a few years ago, and he didn't tell me no. He said, wait. His response to me was, don't come now. He says, just wait. And then when I told him, I was in Brooklyn at the time, I told him, okay, but I want to leave Brooklyn. What do you think about Miami? He says, Kol tifnu taskilu, taslichu. He goes, if you're going to go to Miami, because you'll be successful. He goes, go. I bless you for Miami. And you know what's funny? When I came down here, I became good friends with Lior, with Ariel, and Shai. And it's interesting. And I also became friends with 2 of the Rothschild's boys, Yossi and Yaakov. And you know what was the common denominator between all of us? Is that we all have a connection to Rabbi David Abu Hatzira, which is very interesting. I mean, my wife is Moroccan, so I mean, I have that part. But
your wife is Moroccan? She's not Syrian?
Her mother is Syrian, but her father's Ben Attar. I mean, you don't get more Moroccan than that. I mean,
Haye.
yeah. She used to always say like she's descendant of Ora Haye, and I said, listen, I love the Ora Haye Makadosh. But I said, he had 2 wives. The first one, he had no children. The second one, he had 2 daughters, or only daughters. I said, so he didn't have any sons. But I said, there was another Rabbi Hayim ben Attar. That was his grandfather. They called him Rabbi Hayim ben Attar HaZaken. He was the grandfather of all the Ben Attars that came out. And he was a big Talmid Hacham and Tzaddik. And he had many children. It's possible that they come from that Rabbi Hayim ben Attar, not the Ora Hayim HaKadosh. Because unless his son-in-laws took his last name, which is possible because it was at the time where it was just at the taking of last name, and it's possible. That could be a possibility too.
It's a better last name.
It's a yeah, right.
How long ago is this?
I think check it up for me. When was the Orah Haye Makadosh exactly? I think 1800s, no? 1800s?
My 920 got canceled, that's why.
Okay, Baruch Hashem. John, you see, look here, when you sit and you learn Torah, everything gets done for you. I tell you, when I come here, a lot of things at work get done on their own.
1696 to 1750.
1700s, right? So he died at 1750, he died, so 1700s, yeah. So interesting, it's not that long ago. I'm able to trace my lineage back to about 1820 to Iraq.
Oh, wow.
I can go back 8 generations to Iraq, to a city called Amara. And after doing the research, I did this research when I was like 12, 13 years old in Israel. There's a place called Bet HaTfusot and a few other places. I interviewed a lot of people in Israel. I went back 8 generations. I'm Iraqi from both sides, my mother and my father, and we're not Spanish, which was interesting. Like, we never were in Spain. We're one of those Babylonians, I guess, that stayed behind, that didn't want to go with Ezra HaSofer or didn't want to go to Spain or whatever.
Amazing.
I love Jewish history. And I always was interested about DNA, figuring out like the Jewish gene and things like that. I didn't do the test because I read the terms and conditions of those tests and about where the data would go, and I wasn't comfortable with it, so I never did the test because the way they share the data and things like that was concerning for me, so I never ended up doing it.
Did you ever see a book? I saw a book once. I can't find years ago. Where did the 10 tribes go? Did you ever see that book?
So we have this talk called about the Sambatyon River, Nehar Gozan, about the river of rocks and sand that turn around, where they went, that they're gonna come back. It says.
You know what he said? How far they got?
Yeah, it says according to some opinions, it's in Nepal, India, or in the in that area of Asia, minor Asia they call it. There are people, I know a few people that have stated that they've seen something like this. They have some videos of people that have seen these type of rivers of rocks that you can't pass. On Shabbat, it doesn't move.
Well, this guy he did like a research on it, right?
Yeah.
And he says that they got as far
As Japan.
Yeah. He says in their Shinto, right?
Yeah.
Only the monarchy gets to go. He says they have the holy Bet HaMikdash. Inside, it's in Hebrew.
Well, I do know that the Japanese have a lot of customs that are similar to Jews in their religion. They're like one of their priests or whatever wore an item that looks like tefillin. It's quite possible that these are the tribes.
Korea, he said that's
how
far they got.
I wonder if the Chinese were one of them. You should know they're not the same people.
Of course.
The Korean, Japanese, and Chinese are completely different people. They're not the same.
Thai,
Thai or Vietnamese. They're different.
No, Thai, Vietnamese, Cambodians, they're the same.
Oh, they have the same.
But Koreans and Japanese and Chinese is different.
Different. But it would be interesting though, the Torah talks about sin in Noach, so it talks about from back then. So they're obviously, and it wouldn't make sense that they would have the eyes in their way that they have, which is different than the way we have it, because it's why would that happen over the course of time? It's strange. We don't know exactly, but we're going to find out. But it does say, where was I going to get to, is that during the war of Gog and Magog, when Am Yisrael is at the point of almost no return, there's going to be a big change where the 10 tribes are now going to come, gird up, and they're going to defend the Jewish people, and we're going to win the war at the end from the 10 tribes that are going to come. It says, they're going to come from Ashur, Assyria, and from Egypt, those that were dispersed, and they're going to come to join, and they're going to come and strengthen us in order to go.
It's strange, because if you look at the way things are going, you have the Saudi Arabians and all those countries. Their tuchus is on the line. They're not. They're on Israel's side, but they can't say it.
We're in a very sensitive time in history, but that's why I love learning the Torah while we talk about these, because the Torah gives us the answers. The Torah is telling us what's going to be. Let's do one more Rashi.
Sure.
Vayakom Avraham me'al penei meto vaydaber el benei het lemor. So now She passes away, so Abraham gets up from in front of the deceased, Meto, Vaydaber el Bnei Het lemor. So he talks to Bnei Het. Who were Het? They were the Hittim. They were a group of people in Israel that were occupiers in the land. What do I mean occupiers? Because this land was given from God to Abraham Avinu. Now suddenly he's buying land from the land that God told him was his. God tells you, okay, so John, this is yours. Then you come there, okay, can I have this piece? The people that are there say, okay, you got to buy it, which is very interesting. But they actually offered it in for free first. But let's take a look at what Rashi says. Let's look at Gimel. Rashi, there's no Rashi on that one, so let's go to Dalet. Ger v'toshav anochi imachem tenu li hauzat keved imachem ve'ekpera meti milefanai. So it says, I am an alien, I'm a stranger, a resident in your land. Please give me a place to bury the dead that was before him, which was Sarah Imenu. Let's take a look at the Rashi over here. Ger v'toshav anochi machem. I'm an alien and a resident amongst you. Ger me'eretz acheret. I'm from another land. He was from Aram Naharaim. V'nityashavti machem. But I've settled amongst you. Umidrash Agada tells us, Im tirzu, if you want, harini ger. I'll be a ger. I'll be like an alien in your land. Ve'im la, but if not, Haye toshav. If you want, I'll be a resident. What do I need to do to be a resident amongst you? I need to pay taxes. What do I got to do in order to be a resident here? Ve'etelena min hadin. And I'll take it through rights, without payment. Meaning, if what does that mean? I'll take it through rights. Meaning, if you want to be a ger, an alien, fine, I'll go through that process. If you want to be a resident and then have this piece of land through residency, I'll do that too, and I'll take it without having to buy. I'll take it for free. You just tell me what I need to do. How does it work to become part of the Hittim over here? Shamarli Hakadosh Baruch Hu, God told me, to your offspring, I'm going to give this land. So if God said I'm going to give it to you this land, then it's going to come true. This ma'amar. Let's take a look what he says here on the bottom from Bereshit Rabbah 58-6. The Gedaic interpretation accepts that ger v'toshav are mutually exclusive and cannot simultaneously apply to one individual. Abraham was not saying that he was both a ger v'toshav. He was saying he would either act at the roles of ger or toshav. So Abraham was telling them, look, do you want me to be a ger and to buy it from you? I'm coming from the outside. I'm a foreign investor. You know, I don't know, they have like all these Visa, these EB5s. You want me to be a foreign investor and I take this for free? I take it through buying? Or do you want me to become a part of your nation? Give me your residency, give me a passport, and I'll become part of you and give it to me for free. That way, because if you become, I guess, part of the nation, you get a piece of land. I guess that's how it worked. Now, let's take a look. Achuzat keved, a holding a piece of the grave. Achuzat karka. What do you mean? Achuzat keved, it meant land. Lebet hakevarot, to use for a cemetery in order to bury. Now, what's interesting, it says here on the bottom from Sefer Zikaron that when he was buying this, he specifically bought it for more than one person. He made sure that the plot was not a small plot, it was one that could take for everyone. And that's why, because you might say Achuzat Keved is singular. It didn't say Achuzat Kevarim. Keved you might think is one, that he went to go for one. No, his kavanah was that it would be a full cemetery for multiple people to be buried, which interestingly enough, two people were already buried there.
So after that, it kind of gives you the boundaries of the land.
Yeah, so let's take a look. We'll continue. Vayanu b'nei Chet.
You know what? I just have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, go ahead. Vayanu b'nei Chet et Abraham lemor lo. So now, b'nei Chet tell Abraham, and they answer him back. Shema'enu. Listen, Adoni, our master, Nisi Elohim, the Prince of God, you are amongst us. במבחר קברנו, קבור את מתיך, איש ממנו את קברו לא יחלה ממך מקבור מתיך. He says, the best burial spot, you can bury the dead. And we're not going to withhold any place that you want in order to bury Sarah Imenu. Okay, let's take a look. Rashi here. Lo yichle, I'm not going to withhold. Lo yimna, I'm not going to hold back. Kemo lo tichle rachamecha. Lo tichla rachamecha. I'm not going to hold back my rachamim. Uchmo vayikale hageshem. And like vayikale, in the rain from the heavens was restrained. Vayikale hageshem, that stopped. So he's telling you, what does it mean? Lo yichle. What does yichle mean? Nafshechem. your will. This means Retzonchem. So Nafshechem doesn't mean your soul. Nafshechem, it means the will. When it's talking about in the Pasuk here, Mimecha kebod metecha. Oh, that's the next pasuk here. So Vayakom Abraham vayishtachu la'am haaretz livnei chet. So Abraham got up and he bows down. Vayidaber itam lemor im yesh et nafshechem. In this pasuk, if it has it in your souls, ligbor et meti milefanai, to bury the dead in front. Shema'uni. Okay, listen to me. Ufiguli be'Efron ben Sochad. Can you get me to meet Efron ben Sochad? I want to meet this guy. So he says here, nafshechem doesn't mean, it means literally your soul, but here it means your wish.
If you desire to let me bury there, then introduce me to
Efron. And it says, Ufiguli, I want to meet this person. Leshon bakasha. He was saying it in a nice way. Please, can I meet him? Kemo al tifgi'i bi. Like and he brings in here. Al tifgi'i bi, and he says here, he brings down from root on the word al tifgi'i bi. It's a pega. Pega, he says here, means like something unfortunate, like a pega. And he says that, and he brings in here that pega denotes a deadly encounter. Interesting. Okay, let's continue. Veyitin li et ma'arat hamachpelah asher lo asher bikse sadehu bekesef malei itenena li betochechem la'achuzat kaver. Okay, so give to me, please, the me'ara that is machpelah, which is like a double cave. Asher lo. Asher bikse sadehu. It's at the end of it's at the corner of his field. This place. Bekesef maleh, with full price. I want to pay. Itenena li betochechem la'achuzat kaver. Okay. Amen. What's interesting is Rabbi Musafi mentioned in one of the classes that this me'ara, Efron didn't want it. It used to.
He knew what was inside.
No, but he knew. Efron said that it was saying on Efron that little cave used to like have different ruchot and different what they call lilin, different types of spirits and noises. He was spooked out from that place. Meaning, when someone came in to buy it from him, he was thrilled because he didn't. Meaning, he wanted to get rid of this place because he was scared of it. He said it was, it wasn't a prime real estate that he went after, but it was a prime buyer. Imagine, I'll give you an example. We're here like in Surfside. Okay, there's a bunch of properties here that are not worth too much. Let's say Bill Gates comes to the table and says, okay, guys, I know you own these 7 properties here on the street. I want to buy them. Now, those properties are worth $1 million and 1, 2. That's it, okay? But you're not talking to a regular buyer. You're talking to Bill Gates. Abraham Avinu was richer than Bill Gates. He's even richer, Abraham. I'll tell you why Abraham Avinu was richer than Bill Gates. Abraham Avinu had not only more money, he had his whole country that was his. He had his own military, own food, farming supply. Understand, it's not like today it's very different. Today everything our life is interconnected with others. Back then, when a person was independent and he had money and he had kingdomship, he didn't need anyone from the outside. He had his thing. I went to visit the Vanderbilt mansion in the Hudson Valley. And one of the things that spoke to me, he had a beautiful home there, nice mansion, not as big as I thought.
Where is that?
It's in the Hudson Valley. Hudson Valley is up north from Manhattan.
Upstate New York, no?
Yeah, upstate New York. It's like an hour from New York. Now, what I found interesting when the historian was telling us, he's like, when he came here, I think he was, I don't remember the age, but he was older, maybe in his 40s. He wanted to build a compound. So he had on there like maybe 3,000 servants working, 3,000 people working for him. And he had his own farm, and he had 2,000 acres. He said he made it that he was independent from the outside. Meaning and he had a river access, water. He said for the most part he could have stayed there for the rest of it, which he did. He stayed there he was fully independent. He didn't have to go outside. He said I had all my food, I grew everything, I had everything here that I needed.
Which is very ironic because he's the man that connected America.
It's very, very interesting. But yeah, you're right, because the railroads.
He put all the tracks.
Yeah, he put the track. It's interesting. You know why? They say the shoemaker's kids have no shoes. Not that this guy didn't have it, but like he was building people to move from place to place. But what did he want? I don't want to go anywhere. Just leave me here. You guys seemingly need to go from place to place, but I don't. I just need to stay right here.
Great piece on the men who built America, on the Vanderbilt family.
It's interesting, you know.
A lot of those people, you know, were originally Jewish.
Oh, it tells you the Vanderbilt, obviously the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers.
They
all had ties back to Jew. Something happened in Germany. They got to America. They can't trace back their things back to either Germany, Austria, or some sort of, and they just can't trace back further than that.
Oh, you're saying that even the Vanderbilts
I'm not sure.
And the I didn't know that.
There's a book called The Grandees. Did you ever hear of it?
No, but if you want to bring it to me, I'll.
Grandees, I read it years ago.
Yeah.
And it goes back to all these mega rich people that a lot of them, like Rockefellers, come from Jews.
It's possible. It's very possible.
It's
From the well, it would have to be from the mother's side for them to be Jewish, though.
whatever. Their lineage is Jewish.
Yeah.
But when they came to America, they didn't want to be known as Jews.
Yeah.
So they converted.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was like, Seudat Shlomo HaMelech you brought us this morning. Beautiful. I love it. You know what? If you do like this every morning, it'd be great. Okay, let's continue. This is beautiful. These Rashis. Let's take a look. We are on, number Pasuk Tet. V'yitin li et me'arat ha'machpelah asher lo asher b'ksei sadeh u'b'kesef maleh yitinena li betochem nachozat kaved. 9. It says ha'machpelah, the cave that is a double cave. What does that mean? Bayit had a lower floor, v'aliyah al gabav, and an upper floor. So that's interesting. Why is it called Me'ara Machpelah? It's a double leveled cave. Davar acher, what does that mean? Shekifula bezugot, that it was doubled with couples. That everyone was there was couples. Now you know what's interesting? Lior, were you here yesterday when we spoke about Hushin ben Dan? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. I want you to look at this Rashi here. John, take a look at this. It says here Machpelah. Why is it called Me'ara Machpelah? That everything in it is kaful, double, right? Now take a look at this. What's the first interpretation? Rashi says that it had two levels. It had level 1 and level 2. Okay, good. What is the other one? Shekifula bezugot. When it came to couples, it was double. Why? Because you had Adam and Hava, you had Avraham and Sarah, you had Yitzhak and Rivka, and Yaakov and Leah, right? But remember yesterday we spoke about Hushim ben Dan, how when it came to Esav,
his head.
We said that the one opinion was that he took a sword and chopped his head off of Esav. The other one was no. What was the other interpretation? That he took a stick, hit the back of his head, and the two eyes came out. How many eyes came out? Two. It's machpelah. So when it went in, everything went in double. Including the eyes, it was 2 eyes. I thought that was a nice piece that I felt that connected to Rashi.
When I was a boy, I was in Israel.
Yeah.
When you said the Ma'arat HaMachpelah,
Yeah.
right? The big, whatever it was, that nobody can go inside. Whoever went inside died.
So there's a story.
Did you ever hear this
There's a story of Rabbi Abraham Azulai. I can get the whole piece. It's brought down. I'm not exactly sure which sefer. I remember seeing it a few years ago. I'll find it. Bili Neder, and tomorrow we'll talk about it. Tomorrow, the following day, we'll talk about it.
You saw Abraham Avinu, no?
About what happened down there when he went down. What happened when one of the it was the Muslim leaders. I forgot which one. I think from Turkey. That came down. I'll find all the details. I'll bring the story.
Something fell there.
His sword fell that he got from his father. Well, I'll get you all the details of the story tomorrow. It's very interesting, but you should know, after that story, Rabbi Abraham, I think it was Azulai, he ended up dying 2 weeks after he went down. So there's a whole thing. I'll get you all the details of the story, God willing. Okay.
Today we can't go in?
Today they closed the whole thing off. We'll get all the details of it because they cemented it, they closed it. It's not accessible.
I remember years ago I went there to Hebron,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to Ma'arat HaMachpelah, and I went back a couple of years ago. The whole place looks completely different than it did back then.
Well, they've done a lot of renovations. They did a lot of renovations in it.
Yeah.
They did a lot of things in there. You should know, Herod was the one who built that.
Who?
Herod, King Hurdos. When he built the Beit HaMikdash, he built that Me'arat HaMachpelah too. He built both those stone structures, and it's still
He was when?
2,000 years before. He built Beit Sheni.
So he built it before Beit Sheni?
He built it, I guess,
Same time.
during the same time of Bayit Sheni. Bekesef maleh, it says with full price. Okay, what does it with full price mean? Shalem, meaning complete. Kol shavya v'chen David amar la'aravna bekesef maleh. Okay, so this is really interesting now. It says here, when it comes over here, that Abraham Avinu tells Ephron, he's going to give him bekesef maleh itenena li betochachem achozat kaved. So the word kesef maleh comes up another time. Where does it come up another time? With David HaMelech. Why with David HaMelech? Because the way that I learned this was that really Abraham Avinu was ready to spend the 1,000 on the purchase of this keved, 1,000 coins. The problem was when he started to talk with Ephron asked only for 400. So what happened? He gave him the 400. Yeah, you want to call them bullion or coins or whatever you want to call of gold. What happened was Abraham intended to do 1,000. So he ended up giving the 400 and he had 600 left. The 600 went down from generation to generation in storage, and it was kept to buy the place of the Yevusi at Aravna. Aravna was the owner of the Harabait. David HaMelech wanted to build a Beit HaMikdash. So he said, before I make the plans, I have to buy the land. So he went to Aravna. Instead of going in a military battle to take it over, which he could have, and he was very much entitled to, he bought it from him. Told him, how much do you want? Then he gave him 600 coins, and then he ended up buying the Harabait from Aravna Hayevusi. And the fact that he bought it is very important. Why is this very important? It's because we purchased the land. No different than Moses wanted. If you were going in the 1800s and building and buying up all that land and building up communities. So the assumption that Israel was acquired only through war is nonsense. It was defended through war. But if you look back in history, most of the land was purchased. And
that's what the Arabs trying to do.
Yeah, but if you go look
I
at
saw something yesterday. All the shit I see, they get so much money from all over the world. They put a lady, she was talking very good Arabic, Lebanese, and she go in with a few people, and she make it believe that she's trying to collect money and help Palestine or whatever. And she meet all the heads and people, and they show her all the plan. And they tell her, we're planning to buy this, and we're going to still build this, even if Israel said no, we're going to still build it, and that's how we're going to take it without the war. We're going to win this, and we're going to take all this Shitchei C without even war. And they really doing it, and Israel busy with a war and emergency thing, but they're taking the time. They're working on it for years, and they have like, I don't know, billion of money like coming from all over, from Qatar, from people, from anywhere in the world, and they say it straight out. They show the map, they show all the plan, everything. They open to her because they thought she's.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you why you shouldn't be too concerned about it, because these type of situations were already present in the past, in 48, 67, and other years. And the Borei Olam, he has a plan. And if we're looking in the course of history, like Rabbi Beryl Wine sees, he goes, you'd be a fool not to recognize what's going on in history. If you just look at the last 200 years of the kibbutz galuyot, literally, where we were in hundreds, maybe 100 countries, 127 countries, like a Hachverosh, and suddenly we're probably in 10, the Jewish nation's in probably 10 countries. If you take the 10 countries, and out of the 10, probably 5 are major, maybe the United States, France, Ukraine, a couple of others. Britain is not even that big. I think there's 30,000.
I remember reading this list.
How many Jews are in Britain? Can you check for me how many Jews in Britain? I remember that the Iran was 30,000. I think Britain wasn't a big number though.
When? Now?
I checked it recently. It wasn't a big number, the Jewish population in England.
Here by country.
Show me England.
They're going to run away soon from them.
Okay, you
They
have.
already said it.
You have Israel
Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
U.S., France, Canada, UK.
So you
290.
UK's okay, so 3, and then Iran I think was 30. So let's say 290.
300,000.
Okay, so let's take a look at this.
That's a lot.
So Lior, let's take a look. So let's add this up. I want to bring this board here. Let's bring this over. I want to add this up.
Yeah, you're right. The top 5 account for 90+% of it.
Let's see. Do we have the thing here? Let's take a look
It
here.
seems like Jews are everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look here, guys.
How many in Mexico did they say?
Mexico is pretty far down the list. 40,000.
40,000.
Okay, let's take a look. Let's bring this over here, guys. Let's take a look here.
And here-
Okay, so let's Lior, can you show me the top 5 countries outside of Israel? What do we got here?
Well, it's just number 1 at 6.3.
Okay, that's by the way, that's not an accurate number.
No, I know, yeah.
Yeah, USA. What do we got? By the way, and this count. By the way, I should tell you, I don't know how much of this count is
What
Orthodox
year
Jews. It's very important because a lot of Jews don't identify that with themselves as being Jewish. So we have USA.
It's 5 million, right?
What do you got?
I have 5.7, but I'm gonna go to the Jewish virtual library.
Okay, let's try this. Let's give the rough numbers. What do you have in France? Was the next one?
500,000.
What did he say? I didn't hear.
1 second, let me just go back to that list here. Okay, here. So you have USA 5.7, France 450. Call it.
France is right after USA?
Yeah.
Wow. So I should start learning French then.
then
Okay, wait. How much? 550?
At
Yeah,
450.
Oh, 450. 450.
Then you got Canada at 400.
Yeah, Canada 400.
Wow.
Wow.
And then you have UK at 290.
Okay, I want you to give me the next one down.
Canada is almost like French.
Yeah. Argentina at
Wow.
80.
Wow.
Wow.
And then you have Russia at 150.
150,000?
that-
No, can't
I
be.
mean, listen, I'm gonna try to find another source, but
Okay, so where's this from? What source?
This is probably like
Nah, that can't be.
oh,
wise voter.
Let me see.
Voting poll.
All right, I'm not exactly sure if this is
Let me-
accurate.
1 second.
But,
There was millions of Jews in Russia.
I have the best way to do this.
Okay, so this is interesting. So we'll just write here. I don't know how accurate this is.
Maybe
This
they
is
mean
from.
European Russia.
It's a nice website. I just don't know how accurate this is. But let's assume, for the sake of this discussion,
you didn't put Israel.
no, because Israel, I don't need to put. We're discussing who's outside of Israel and who would come in, who would be the next ones coming in. So let's take a look here. Based on what we see here,
About 7.5 million.
let's assume aside the United States, you have here 1, and then here you have another 5, and then you have, let's say, another 2. So you have here like 1,000,005, 1.7 outside of the U.S. So about 1.7 million with the top countries outside the USA.
7.5 million altogether.
Yeah. So it's almost doubling the population of Israel.
You
Was
can do 8 million because you have all the other countries that have Jews.
okay, but there's another important part you need to know. I think there's only 12 million Jews in the entire world. 12 or 14,
No,
12 or 14 million.
14.
12 or 14
Here, so according to Jewish Virtual Library, we're 15.2 in 2022
total.
That makes
total
sense.
in the world.
Okay, but does it tell you the top countries? Or does
Yeah,
it,
so here, let's see.
what
I
does he
told
say?
you
What does he say? Let's take a look. What does that one say? That's
by
what,
2022.
what's the name of this website?
JewishVirtualLibrary.org.
JewishVirtualLibrary.org. So that's
Yeah.
good. Actually, it's not like this, but whatever. You get the point. Okay, what's the number of USA?
It says you got 7 million in the U.S.
Oh wow.
That's
Oh, that's a big number difference. And what about France?
France 442. Yeah, so basically spot on. Canada 395.
Okay, so that's probably similar.
Yeah. Then UK at 291. Argentina at 173.
Okay.
And Russia at 145.
Okay, so
that
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
Why?
Because there was, before all this.
the USSR, you mean?
Yeah,
But-
it was like 3 million.
Russia?
Yeah.
But look at the interesting part, Jordan. So if you look at the U.S. and Israel and France and Canada, basically, that's you have 98% of the Jewish world.
So pretty much now there's another thing you need to know. It says that when we went out of Mitzrayim, Hamushim alu me'eretz Mitzrayim. Hamushim is 20%. Hamushim. It says 20%.
Yeah.
So let's take a look here. If we add these numbers up, can you add them all up for me? Can you add 7 plus 442 plus 395, 291, 170, 153, 145? Give me that number. Let's do that, and let's see what our number is, and we're going to divide it up.
7 million.
We have to buy in Israel very fast because if all of them come in, the real estate will go up.
I'm going to tell you so. I'm going to tell you about a meeting that being here in Bell Harbor, we get to meet a lot of interesting people. I met like few from the Israeli consulate, from the embassy. Okay, so we have 8.446, right? Yeah. 8.446 million.
7 million plus in Israel.
Okay, 1 second. It says Hamushim. Give me 20% of that number of 8.44.
1.7, call it.
Okay, so 1.7 is Hamushim. So let's put that here. Yeah. 1.7. 1.7.
That's the 20% of that total population.
Yeah, but
1.7 million. I'll tell you why. I'm doing this because I don't know what the future is going to be. No one could really say. But I could tell you that this Geula that we're going through now is going to be the same like Mitzrayim. When in Mitzrayim, 80% of the people didn't want to leave. So it's quite. They didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay with Egypt. They said, "Why should?" No, only 20% left. 80% of the Jewish population did not leave Egypt, and they stayed behind.
Yeah. So what? They died?
Some of them died. Some of them became Egyptians. Today,
they chose to stay behind. What you said before, that they're going to come from Egypt, right?
Yeah. So it's possible. Oh, it's very good. It's the pasuk says. Who knows? That could be. But if you see here, if 20% of these people that are currently around the world are going to come, that's 1.7 million. That's a low number. That's like I'm taking it based on that, because if we have now, let's say Israel has 1.7 million refugees coming in. So I spoke with someone who worked with the Canadian government. He was actively working about a month ago with them, and this question came up with I think it was the consulate and one of those in the Israeli government, and like the question came up, like, what happens if we need to bring in 500,000 to 1 million new Jews? And her response was from the Israeli government, I hope they like to live in tents in the Negev, because that's probably where we're going to put them. Where would you want to put them?
It's better than being barbecued somewhere.
Yeah, but and then they're going to have to build out cities. Or a person can go from now.
They have to get ready.
They have to get ready. And
they have to prepare.
And I'll tell you one thing. I don't think there's going to be another generation here in the United States for Orthodox Jews. I believe we are the last generation. That's no, not in America. I believe America is always going to be around to some extent, but I believe as Orthodox Jews, we are the last generation. We saw the best of the best, which means we lived in modern times what was the best life for Orthodox Jewish people. But I believe from here on in, our eyes...
It's never going to be the same.
It's never going to be the same, and our eyes are going to be only on Israel going forward, which is what we're seeing now. I think it's apparent. I saw a video of an Iraqi guy, all tattoos all over his body, and he was saying, I just want to tell you guys, he goes, he never put on tefillin, never kept Shabbat. He goes, Jewish, after he saw what happened, he took upon himself that he's going to start learning more Torah, doing more mitzvot. He goes, he never felt more connected to Judaism after what happened then, what happened on October 7th in Israel. And he's making teshuvah. And he said he never thought about doing teshuvah until he saw the way the world reacted to what happened. He goes, a little bit of compassion and mercy would have gone a long way. He goes, but he was so surprised. He goes, he's assimilated, this Iraqi guy, and he goes, I'm watching and seeing how this is happening, and I don't even see a proper response. He said, this clearly is a sign that he has to make teshuvah, and he made teshuvah, and he's making teshuvah now, which I found to be very interesting. So, based on what we see here, let's say there is 8.446 million based on the numbers of JVL. It's quite possible if 20% only went 1.7 million, we could see the number of what's going to happen. So, I tell everybody, if it's in their ability or they could, buy land in Israel, buy an apartment in Israel. I think it makes only sense. And if a guy's already buying 2-3 homes in America, it even makes even more sense. Yeah?
But what about the average? Let's say
in Israel, it's not worth it, like money-wise. I mean, if somebody have extra money just to buy, it's fine. But if somebody, you buy it, you rent it, you pay from your package just to cover.
But to be honest, now
that's if you have a mortgage.
Yeah.
John, when you think about it, the dynamics of buying now in Israel, the shekel's never been weaker, the US dollar's never been stronger relative to that. You're almost above 4 to 1. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, first time in I think it was 12 or 13 years I was reading that there's more than a double-digit dip in Israeli real estate. That never happens.
In Israeli what?
Real estate.
In real estate.
Like a 12% dip in the last couple months. That's unheard of because it's Israel. It's too small to.
I mean, usually that's how it goes.
Yeah.
It usually dips, then it goes up. It dips,
Yeah.
goes up. So
It's
it's
always go up. Yeah.
So you have the strongest dollar, you have decent values, and then people are saying, listen, if we actually take over Gaza, that's a new Tel Aviv you got over there. You got beachfront real estate, right? Like,
I think there's going to be no choice for them to take
Somebody
Gaza.
Make me, he sent me a design to make a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Save the date, October 7, 2024. We're drinking a beer in Gaza. And they have like the whole group, and like they want to make like thousands of T-shirts.
Wow.
Like save the date.
Unbelievable. Okay, let's continue one more Rashi. Ephron yoshev betoch bnei Het, and Ephron, he's sitting amongst bnei Het. Vayan Ephron hakiti et Avraham be'oznei bnei Het lechol ba'eh shar iro lemor. Okay, so Ephron, he's sitting amongst all the children of Het, and Ephron, the Hittite, responds to Avraham, and he says, for all who come to the gate of the city saying, no, my Lord, heed me, I have given, that's the next one. He says, Lo Adoni, Shema'eni, Hasadeh natati lach. No, my master, listen to me. The field I'm going to give to you, Ve'ame'ara asher bo, and the me'ara, the cave that's under the ground, under the field, Lecha netatiha, it's yours. Le'eneh bnei ammi, in the eyes of everybody around netatiha, lach kevor metecha. You can take it for free, it's yours. So let's look at Rashi on Yud, and then Yud Aleph. Ephron Yoshev, Ephron is sitting. Ketiv Haser, the word Yoshev is spelled like this, without a vav. Let's take a look. It says Ephron Yoshev. Yoshev is spelled like this. It's missing the vav. It usually should be spelled maleh, like this. Yoshev. You see that? It's
Yashav.
It's spelled Yashav, which is past.
Past.
Ketiv Haser. Oto Hayom, that Minuhu, they made Ephron shoter alehim. They made him into like a police official over them. Mipnei chashivuto shel Avraham, because of Avraham's dealing with Ephron. You have to understand, Avraham Avinu just he has status. You know, this is a major person. You know, he challenged Nimrod and won. 4 to 5 kings, destroyed them. Anakim. Avraham is a superstar. Now Avraham is looking. Where's Ephron? Who's Ephron? Suddenly they start seeing Avraham talking. They say, "Oh, this guy must be significant." So right away they upgraded the status of Ephron. They said, "Okay, Ephron, you're now part of the thing." Shehaya sarich lo ala legdula, and so he says here, because of the importance of Avraham, he ascended to greatness. One more Rashi, lechol ba'ar ba'eshar iro, for all those who come to the city, shekulam batlu mimelachtam ba legmol hesed lesara. Everybody went from their lechol ba'eshar iro. What does it mean? That everyone from the gate of the city, meaning when they gave all respect to Sarah Imenu to come bury with her. And the last one, lo adoni, lo tikne ota, you shall not buy it, bedamim, for money, natati lecha, hare hi kemo shenatati lach. It's as if I had given it to you. Okay, that's it. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.